with our first pick in the 2022 NHL Draft, les Canadiens de Montréal sont fiers de repêcher from the Slovakian national team and TPS Turku, Juraj Slafkovsky.
And boom goes the dynamite.
The second selection, the New Jersey Devils are proud to select from Nitra, Simon Nemec.
Arizona selects Logan Cooley. Fourth selection, the Seattle Kraken are proud to select the Kingston Frontenac, Shane Wright.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Five Hole Fantasy Hockey Podcast. We're your hosts today, TJ, Zac, and Rog.
Hey there.
Hey.
The draft happened. Some trades happened. We're going to be talking about all that kind of stuff. Review the draft.
Lots of stuff happened.
You know, interesting moves, winners, losers, if we want to go that route. Good system fits, trade reactions, lots of really big ones. To Brinkette, goalies moving all over the place. Vanicek got traded. Husso, yada, yada. Mrazek even.
Chicago be in the middle of every part of it. I feel like Chicago is part of every single trade.
I think they lost every trade.
Well, yeah.
But they were still part of every single trade. They didn't get better.
I think they achieved what they set out to achieve, though.
They got Peter Mrazek, so that automatically you lost the free agent.
It could be like Mrazek for free and you still lose that trade.
It tells you what they're up to, though. If they're trying to get Mrazek, they're tanking.
Definitely going to get into this one, but like I said, we're Five Hole. You guys can find us on Twitter at FHF Hockey. You can join in the Fantasy Hockey Discord. Monday mocks running every single Monday. We're trying to build our own ADP in-house kind of thing. This last one filled up in 7 minutes. So, yeah, you want to get in the Discord if you want to get in on these Monday mocks. That's where we drop the link so that you can get in on them. Let's talk about the draft first of all. First round, obviously there was a lot of surprises. The top 5, man. I said it to a lot of the guys in the Dynasty series. I was like, I don't think anyone knows how this draft is going to go. And we certainly didn't. Shane Wright falls to 4. Juraj Slafkovsky goes number 1. Simon Nemec, Logan Cooley, and then Cutter Gauthier. That's your top 5 right there with Shane Wright at 4. Just looking at the first round as a whole, like, what were your guys' biggest observations, surprises, whatever? Zac, we'll kick it off with you there.
I wanted Shane Wright. I thought it was going to happen. Now, I'm saying this specifically as a Flyers fan.
It wouldn't be a Flyers story if we didn't miss out on the top projected guy by 1, Like, it was so Flyers for that to happen.
I was excited because we were all talking while it was happening. I was like, oh, man, like, it could happen. I was like, it could happen, guys. And then, boom, it didn't happen. Gauthier was somebody that we expected. I am surprised, obviously, that Slafkovsky went number 1. Now, he's a good player and all, and there was some talk about him going number 1. But obviously, the Shane Wright slipping. Nemec went way higher than Juracek.
Jersey, they have an abundance of centers, right?
Yeah.
They got Jack Hughes, they got Nico Hischier, both on the younger side, so they just went D, which is weird now because the dynasty implications for guys like Luke Hughes, Ty Smith, even Dougie Hamilton, and now Simon Nemec, we have 4 guys that are capable of running their top power play.
Position, I think, had a lot to do with this draft. Like, a bunch of those top guys were all so close. Like, I think Montreal and Jersey didn't really need centers, I think is what it came down to, like Montreal's got Suzuki and a couple other options there, and the left wing just made more sense for them, and same as Jersey. I don't think why would they need another young center in Jersey? So I think as much or more than ever, like, it seems like position came into the high end of this draft more than maybe usual.
So with that, do you think Juraj Slafkovsky plays right away?
I don't. I kind of get the feeling he wouldn't. I don't know if anybody I see is super ready for the NHL. And that's just my opinion. I don't know that any of them are super ready for the NHL. And Montreal has no reason to bring him up right away. I don't know. I don't really see anybody being up there right now. He'll get his 9 games.
I wouldn't be surprised if Shane Wright did, just being in Seattle, because they have nothing.
Right, yeah.
I could see that too. And you want to put butts in seats. You want to put butts in seats, and that's going to help you.
He doesn't need to be good. There's no pressure to it's not like he's coming into a big winning tradition or anything like that he's got to worry about. But I was saying this just before we pressed record here, like, if it's like Shane Wright and Matty Beniers, like I'm kind of makes me like Seattle just a little tiny bit.
Yeah, they're building good. I like the way that goes.
You know, I gotta say, I think I'm saving the best one for last year. And this was my biggest one, and I would imagine it's got to be high on your guys' list too. And that was Joachim Kemmel.
Oh, yeah.
Slipping to Nashville at number 17.
Great pick.
I thought that he was a top 10 pick, and you have Mentukov going into the top 10, and Kemmel slipped all the way down to 17. I actually think that is the story of the draft.
I like Kemmel there. I like Savoy at 9 because I think Buffalo knocked this one out of the park. They've had a few really, really good drafts in a row. Vancouver, I like what you guys did with Lekaramaki. Brad Lambert going to Winnipeg was also pretty solid. Like they got that with the New York Rangers first, which I think they got from Kopp. Did you guys see the clip's been all over the internet, but Shane Wright like death staring the Montreal table?
Yeah, I saw that.
A little bit of that like Philip Zadina chip on the shoulder, like I'll fill all their nets, I like that. That's a fun story. But Shane Wright, class act, had nothing bad to say about it at the draft. But that look, it could be interpreted any which way. That was good. Marco Casper at number 8. He was all over everybody's projections. We saw him in the 20s. We saw him in the teens. Goes to number 8 to Detroit. Whatever Stevie Y does, I trust. Yeah. So I like that pick, and it makes me a little excited for it. Chicago, I don't know if it was like all the conversations we had during the Dynasty series, but Kevin Korchinski just wasn't exciting. I might need to revisit what, his tape or whatever, but I don't know. I liked Mintyukov. I liked Matejchuk a little bit better than Korchinski. Chicago traded to Brinkette to Ottawa for Kevin Korchinski, essentially.
I think both teams' intentions are clear.
But that's the guy they wanted, and they got him. So, I mean, that's, good for them.
They did.
Playing into more of this Montreal thing, like they traded that 13th pick for Kirby Dach. So I think with Dach coming in as a center, maybe they knew they were going to be doing that. So they didn't take Shane Wright. Like they got a winger. And then at the 13th pick, they got a NHL ready, former 3rd overall pick, Kirby Dach, who still has a ton of upside. He doesn't shoot a ton. He doesn't hit a ton. So he's not going to be super great for us in fantasy, but there's still upside there. Maybe he plays on a line with Slafkovsky down the line. They got their center. They got their winger. Good draft from Montreal. I'm pretty happy with what they were able to do. And then who did they get later on? They got Misar, who's another Slovakian who was friends with Slafkovsky. Yeah,
that's right.
Philip Misar. Yeah, right wing, Slav's buddy. So left wing, right wing, going in the first round. Good shit. What else did you guys like in the first round here?
Not in the first round, but I do want to give an update on the fact that Jagger Firkus was drafted by the Kraken as well.
They had a good draft. They had a really good draft.
So they actually did have a pretty decent draft.
Yeah, Zach's going to be a Seattle fan before long.
I'm going to have to.
Yeah, he will be.
I'm ready to get my Firkus jersey.
So who do we got as the winners? For me, it's Columbus. Jarmo Kekalainen does everything he does is fantastic. They got Matejchuk, they got Juracek. That's really, really good for their defense. I think they have really good drafts. I love Jarmo. Everything he does is right. For me, the loser is Chicago. I thought they made really weird moves. First of all, how does Dach not fit into a rebuild? The kid's like 21, right? How do you trade him and say, well, we're tearing it all down? Like the kid's 21.
Well, I think that's something I was talking about as well. Like Chicago's trying really hard to get good odds in the Bedard sweepstakes really fast.
And they're going to, yeah.
Dach is a great thing to build around, but I think they're giving every intention to just like kick it down the road 2 more years, blow it. Like on a other level of it too, right? Like they are absolutely trying to wipe their hands clean of everything because of all the bullshit that went on.
Yeah.
And it really seems, I honestly think it feels like they're trying to make it so like they don't have to trade Kane and Taves and be the bad guy. It's like they want Kane and Taves to come and say we want out so they can publicly go, look, hey, they wanted out.
Yeah. And I mean, worst case scenario is they stay. And they're what puts people in the stadium and in line at the concessions and things like that. So you got to have something.
Bedard something.
Great fits. Like we said, I like Savoy there. Logan Cooley's going to be great in Arizona. Arizona is going to be in the Bedard sweepstakes next year too. So like Bedard, Cooley, and Hayden, I guess. I don't know who goes down that one, but
Geeky.
Yeah, Geeky was good for Arizona too. They got a bunch of centers. You want to get into some trades, break this stuff down fantasy wise?
Yeah.
We'll start close to home for us since JT Miller hasn't been traded yet, but Tony DeAngelo. We acquired the rights to Tony DeAngelo for Philadelphia's 2022 fourth, 2023 third conditional, which I guess we have a bunch of third round picks in. It's going to be the latest of them. 2024 second to Carolina for the rights to Tony DeAngelo, who would have received a qualifying offer on Monday if Tom Dundon extended one to him. Tom Dundon's not the type of guy that does that, I don't think. Like Alex Nedeljkovic got shown the door. Dougie Hamilton got shown the door. Tony DeAngelo probably would have gotten shown the door.
Tom Dundon's idea of having money in his pocket is the reason it's there is because he's not giving it to other people.
So who takes over the power play in Carolina? Pesce? Slavin?
My first thought would have to be Slavin, just because he's out there all the fucking time. But the whole thing is they use him in every other situation.
Yeah.
So that's why they would want it to be someone else. And that's why they were looking for it to be somebody else. But, first reaction, I guess you're thinking Slavin. Their defense isn't already like that fantastic. Jacob Slavin is really good. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Jacob Slavin.
Yeah.
As an actual team guy. You know what I mean? He's not number one on my fantasy list. But other than that, I don't know what really else you have. I mean, you have an Ethan Bear, but we've seen that not really even work in Edmonton when he got power play time with them.
I think it's going to be Pesce for exactly that reason. Is Slavin's going to be chugging minutes. You got to kind of like remember the Grizzly McAvoy bullshit. Like, we don't want to play McAvoy 29 minutes a night every night. So I think that's going to play into it. But what I'm going to put my chips down on is their power play quarterback hasn't signed with Carolina yet, or been traded, because I think Barry is a really good fit, and it makes a lot of sense for Edmonton, who's probably trying to clear out cap. I think John Klingberg would probably, I don't think he'd be a fit there because that would be term and money. Probably more than the $5 million that
John Klingberg is just going to be happy to go somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know where he's going to wind up, but I don't know. Carolina just makes sense. They have money. They can do it.
Style-wise, Barry doesn't really fit into their defensive kind of two-way game.
We said the same thing about Tony D.
That's true.
Hey, you mean actual defense?
Yeah.
He's not into defense?
Exactly. But no, that's true. I mean, Tony D was pretty great when he came back. I think he's going to do okay if he ends up in Philly, but it's got to be, hopefully for Carolina's sake, they get somebody, because Shea, Pesce, Ian Cole, but him and Ethan Bear aren't offensive at all. I think I kind of think that's something they're gonna have to try to find.
No, Klingberg just makes the most sense, but I don't see them paying anybody. Like I don't see term, especially like when Tony D would have costed 2 times 5. Dundon didn't do that, so Klingberg might not fit there. Barry makes sense, but he's roughly the same price, so I don't know, pinching pennies there. What do you think this says about Ryan Ellis's look in Philadelphia? Like, does this spell the end for Ryan Ellis?
Does Ryan Ellis still play hockey?
He is. There was an update a few days ago that he might not be ready for training camp. They still have questions about what's going on with him. I don't know. The way I see it, like I did the math. The Flyers have traded a first, 3 seconds, a third, maybe 2/3, I forget. Robert Haig, Philippe Myers, Nolan Patrick, Shane Gostisbehere, a 7th, probably more, for Risto, Tony D, and Ryan Ellis. So
I still like Tony D. I can't help it, and I actually think he would be good on the power play in Philly. I think that last year's experiment with Carolina and Tony D worked out the best possible way for both of those parties. You know what I mean? Carolina is getting something for nothing. They were looking for a right-handed defenseman to run their power play, and Tony D did what he needed to do on the ice. He got in a little bit of trouble in the playoffs, got a little mouthy with some refs in the playoffs, but he didn't have, the classic Tony DeAngelo, off the ice sort of shit. Everything was said that he was, a model teammate. So he was able to put together a year where he had a good year statistically and no off the ice bullshit, which is going to get him paid in the long run.
Yeah.
And Carolina is getting all these draft picks for, signing him for fucking nothing.
Yep.
And signed into a 1-year deal as it was.
51 points in 64 games puts him at a 65-point pace, albeit with Carolina and their power play. He had 20 power play points there. Philly, a step down from Carolina, I'll say that, and it's pretty ginger. That's an understatement, I think.
Third of his points came on the power play there, so that's a good chunk.
Yeah, so I like to think that our power play is going to be a little bit better. We lost a facilitator in Giroux, so maybe it's a wash. I think it's a downgrade for Tony D. He's probably going to be running our power play, sheltered minutes, second pairing, third pairing type of thing. 50 points I'd be happy with that, but I have a hard time believing 50 points is going to come out of a Philadelphia Flyer defenseman. I don't know. Where you guys got him?
We're worried about 50 points coming out of a Philadelphia Flyer forward.
True. Konechny had 52, which, just for reference, was one more point than Shane Gostisbehere had in Arizona. I'll feel great about that as a Flyers fan.
On D, they had Provorov had 31 points.
It was brutal. Yandel, quote unquote, led the league in minus stat of plus minus. It was bad. It was a really bad year. All right, let's move on. We got Vanicek in New Jersey for a 2022 second and a third. Washington doubling down on Samsonov. Washington's in the talks for possibly even Kemper. So watch out what they do with, I don't think they're going to go Phoenix Copley or what have you as their backup. They're still shopping. And there's a few goalies left out there. So Campbell's out there. So New Jersey has a Vanicek-Blackwood tandem. What do you guys think? Who is our starter? Who's the 1A, the 1B? This looks like a shared net to me.
I don't care because it looks pretty close either way to me. As much as I love Jersey, I really like a lot of their young guys and blah, blah, blah. I don't think they're going to get a ton of wins. And if those wins are split in half, I just don't like it. So I think it's going to be close either way, whichever direction they go. But I think they're probably going to go with Vanicek, maybe 60-40 kind of thing. But like I said, either way, it's half of a mediocre at best team, so I'm not really into it.
A couple things there. I don't think Jersey's done. I think they're in the hunt. Maybe, you're looking at a JT Miller, perhaps. Maybe you're looking at Johnny Gaudreau if we're pipe dreaming this one, but I don't think they're done. I think maybe, there's still Tarasenko out there they could go for. There's options. So I think they're going to be a better team next year. Not going to be a playoff team, just based on the rest of the Metro, but
so a borderline middle of the pack team, and then you get 60% of those kind of wins with, if anything, at this point, I think Jersey's issue is going to be defensive defensemen.
Well, yeah, the PK Subban's off the books this year, so
I forgot he existed. Yeah.
What about you, Zach? What do you see this? Raj saying 60-40. I'm 50-50.
With who? With Vanicek and Blackwood? I think it's more 50-50 because, man, I personally don't really believe in Vanicek. I don't blame Washington for not being all in on him. He got his time last year, but it's just another middle-of-the-road goalie. That's what I said the other day. It's just another middle guy. It's another middle-round pick, kind of. Vanicek is nothing. I wanted New Jersey to make a splash because that's what they need. They have all this good stuff, and they always do this every year. They end up with the Corey Schneiders of the world and the Blackwoods and the Vaniceks, Crawford, just all these, guys that, they're good enough to be in the NHL, but they're not out there. They're not winning you games with their play. You know what I mean? They're just not
they're treading water.
Yeah. They're making you viable, and your offense is going to try to win you the game. It's not going to be your defense shutting people down because that ain't Vanicek. So I guess 50-50, but I don't know. I don't really believe in either of them. And I was all high on New Jersey.
Do you want to hear a fun tinfoil hat theory? New Jersey trades one of their goalies to Toronto for stuff, and then they still sign Kemper. Jersey.
Why would you say that?
I don't know. Dubas gets creative. Maybe he thinks this is creative. I'll call up Jersey, see if Blackwood's available. Oh, yeah, you guys.
So you're saying that I'm going to get stuck? I just got to move off of fucking Peter Mrazek, and I was all excited because,
Fucking Shalgren. as your starting goalie right now?
Don't care. It's gonna work out. It's better than Mrazek.
Kemper.
I'd rather have Rog as my starting goalie. At least I know the direction.
They're going to be in on Kemper. I think they're going to revisit Campbell.
Kemper.
100%.
Kemper.
Campbell's
Dubas and Billy Guerin, we're talking. Maybe a Cam Talbot trade is in the works. Unlikely, because Billy Guerin came out saying some pretty hefty stuff. He was like, I don't need to do shit about my goalies right now. Like, Cam Talbot's still under contract. Like, I don't need to do anything.
I want Jay Cottinger. I want Jay Cottinger in Toronto.
Yeah, right. No way.
He's in Dallas.
No way.
Dallas is not moving Jay
Yeah,
Cottinger.
even if they tried to offer sheet him, like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, and in Minnesota, Fleury re-signs, had a couple of signings.
Taken right off on the chat we were just having is Mrazek.
Yeah, Mrazek in Chicago.
Mrazek out, making it just definitively a hole in Toronto.
They got nobody.
What I thought the funniest thing about that, and right after it happened, they said, hey, here's my first round pick. Please take Peter Mrazek. Please take Peter Mrazek off of this team. I'll give you my first round pick.
Oh, yeah, they moved back 13 spots, and they freed up like $3 and change million off the cap. It was pretty smart by Dubas, but now you have nobody, dude.
This is one of those moves. That was a brilliant move by Dubas, I think, like a great bit of management, but it's only to make up for his own huge mistake in getting Mrazek in the first place. He reminds me of Luongo and net. Like, he makes these big game-saving saves after like letting one in through his legs, and that's kind of what this move is to me. Is just saving his own bacon from like just a terrible decision to get Mrazek in the first place.
Gotta get creative.
I think it was a smart move by Mrazek, because I'm pretty sure his life goal is to suck on as many NHL teams as possible.
Yeah, no kidding.
And he's getting up there. He's making a run. He's making a run at that dream.
It's going to be Matt Murray in Toronto. That's one of the rumors. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
God, stop. Why?
I mean, I'm not doing it to you. Dubas is.
Dubas wants Kemper. He wants to come out and say, look, I got you the Stanley Cup winning goalie. You know, I guarantee he's putting everything he can just for press reasons alone. And Kemper is, like, Kemper's a good goalie somewhere in there. He's a great goalie. I don't know if Toronto has the right kind of D to support Kemper, but
I don't know. Giordano's there on the most friendliest of deals.
that's so helpful. That's so helpful for them.
Yeah, there was some other storylines. Duncan Keith retired, so that frees up some cap in Edmonton, but Chicago gets that cap recapture, so Edmonton's got some money to play with. I hope they go out and get Kemper. You know, Fleury re-signed in Minnesota. Kempe re-signs in LA. Bob Bugner is an assistant coach in Detroit, so a lot of stuff happened around the NHL, not just trades-wise, but keeping going here. Sticking with the goalies, Husso to Detroit for a 2022 third.
Yeah.
Brilliant move by Stevie Y. He does not miss.
Awesome.
Husso signed for 3x475.
So awesome.
And Nedeljkovic is signed for $3 million. So if we're just following the money here, Husso's your starter. He's your 1A. I do think it's going to be a shared net, but I think this one's going to be closer to 60-40. I think Husso pulls volume. Ned's there to support. They are doing somewhat of a hot hand kind of shared net thing, but Husso in the end winds up getting more games.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, just when I see those two goalies, it seems like a tandem that's going to work. You know, like when I see Talbot and Fleury, that just spells trouble to me in one way or another. But when I see this tandem, it's like two youngish guys who are probably pretty close. I think it's great. And we're going to just have to change the name of the podcast to just the Stevie Y Show pretty soon, because like he's
smart.
Oh, man.
He's doing everything right. He's doing absolutely everything right.
We were joking in the Discord, Stevie Y goes 0G. He picked up the fucking last 2 years of 0G goalies. And that's what he's doing. He's just picking them up
And
on
he
the
didn't
waiver
overpay,
wire.
like under $5 million, right? Ned under $3 million. So Stevie Y has those two goalies for less than Montreal's paying Carey Price this year.
And listen, even if Detroit does nothing the rest of the way, I still think they're a better team than they were last year. So like this isn't going to be a total flop for their goalies. You know, same thing we were saying about New Jersey. I think they're right up there with New Jersey, where, you know, 2 years ago they were right there with Arizona. So I think, you know, you're getting 60% of a mediocre team, but they're one Nazem Kadri away from having a solid top six. this is a team to watch for the rest of the way. Like, I think they are starting to send out flares that are saying we're ready to get back in. Like, we want to dance. Watch them the rest of the way. Kadri would look great there. They've got the money. They can pay him. They can give him term. Larkin, Kadri down the middle. They just drafted Casper, who was projected as like a third line center. So that's really great. You got Veleno. Whether or not he works out, we'll see. This is a really good team. They got Simone Edmondson coming in, shore up the D, even more, in fact. So I think Detroit, with free agency right around the corner, has the chance to be a real team. Not like a contender, but a team that we won't be like, I'm not touching Detroit's goalies. I think this could be real.
Depends on your league, I think, because the only thing I could see is that just overvalued, right? It's pretty awesome, and just like everything Detroit's doing is awesome, and they're building and blah, blah, blah. But at the end, like you just said, it's still in the end is going to be about half of a team that probably doesn't make the playoffs. So depending on the way your league set up, but like they could make, in the perfect situation, Ned and Husso are going to probably be some great streamers for long periods of time.
If you pull up their lineup on Daily Faceoff, you plug Nazem Kadri in there, you plug John Klingberg in there. This is a different team. This is an entirely different team.
Yeah, it is.
Come on.
You're right.
Come on.
That's plugging in 2 all-stars.
2 all-stars that are in free agency. In the market.
True enough.
That's what free agency is called. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, if they could do that, then they're like looking like a playoff team.
And you want to know what else? They probably still got money after that.
I bet they do.
They probably do. Let's see. Detroit, $31 million. Say you give Kadri 7.
Crazy.
And then you give Klingberg 7. That's less than half of your cap space. You can still get another Klingberg and another Kadri and turn this team into something. I don't know what their RFA, what else they have to do, but they've got some money to play with. They could go get a Klingberg, they could get a Kadri, and this is an entirely different team. And you spent a third for it to get Husso. I don't know. Stevie Y, watch him. Detroit's going to be a big player next week. I'm calling it. Cassian to Arizona. Arizona moves up 3 picks to take Zac Cassian. He's just sent to the desert to die, right? That's it.
Speaking of good managing, right, between dumping Cassian, dumping Keith.
And they're still talking about maybe getting rid of Puljujarvi. Detroit's going to get Puljujarvi too. Watch. Fucking watch, dude.
Get some money out, I think. Edmonton's doing it right. Unfortunately, they don't have much wiggle room, but he's doing it proper there. Cassian's just going to be wandering out in the desert.
Doing peyote.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a nothing one, but good for Edmonton, though.
All right, we talked about Mrazek in Chicago. Next up is Kirby Dach in Montreal. You got to peg him in for like 2C, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Dvorak is the other option, but Dvorak's had a chance, and isn't that awesome?
They're looking okay. I feel like Montreal has just a bunch of second lines.
And that worked for them.
I don't think there's any high-end options there, but
Worked great.
I think
that's what they took to the Stanley Cup, right? 4 second lines. They had Toffoli, and back in the day they had Tatar and Domi when he put up 70 points. Like, I don't want anybody to poo-poo Dach here. He was skating 19 minutes in the playoffs, so if he gets time, 6 points in 9 games in the bubble playoffs, there's something there.
for sure.
I'm not saying he's going to be point per game, but I think this could easily be a 50, 60 point guy at his peak.
It just depends how it divvies up. Like if they go with a kid line and have Caulfield, Suzuki, and maybe Slavkovsky, but probably not. But there's not a lot more than that. I mean, you have Josh Anderson. If Doc could play with him, I guess maybe that's something. There's not a lot of depth.
Kirby Doc is more of a playmaker, though. He's going to double up on assists more than goals. He's not a goal scorer as much. He needs to be around shooters. And if he's going to be on that third line with, if you put a Josh Anderson on that line with him to be taking tons of shots and hitting people, then Kirby Doc is going to have a better chance to succeed. But I mean, if you have him on a line with, Brendan Gallagher, who is also not going to be taking shots because that's not what he does.
Gallagher
used to hit 300 shots.
Gallagher used to be
He didn't shoot that much last year, did he?
No, he disappeared off the face of the earth last year. It was weird.
I was going to say.
Weird.
Montreal didn't play last year.
So that's what all I'm getting at is Kirby Doc needs shooters around him. Now he got that, sometimes at least in Chicago, But I mean, the bottom 6 in Montreal isn't out there for a ton of shooting.
I wonder what they do with Mike Hoffman if they return. Like, I don't know his status, whether or not he's under contract. Yeah, he is. So
No one wants Mike Hoffman.
there's a shooter, though.
That's true. He's a shooter.
Could be something. All right, moving to the New York Islanders. Another trade that Montreal had done. Now they have nobody at D. But anyway, Romanov to New York Island. Yeah, Romanov and a 2022 fourth to the New York Islanders for 13th overall.
I personally like Romanov a lot. So I think that's a great pickup for the Islanders.
For hockey.
Yeah, I think he's going to bang like crazy.
Well, that's what they are. They're a hockey team. For the Islanders, I think it's a great pickup. Like, that's pretty much saying that I picked, Romanov with my 13th overall. That's what I got. He's a 13th overall first rounder, and he is 100% that.
Chara is leaving, so this fills that need. For fantasy, Romanov, he doesn't have. There's no avenue to the top power play. I don't think none. That's Noah Dobson's. Even Ryan Pulak would be ahead of him in the offensive depth chart. So for me, Romanov is just a banger. Like, I liked him in Montreal because there was that that opportunity to get power play time. Petrie's still kind of on the block. Who knows what happens to him? He could be in Dallas next year. No idea what's going to happen. So
he's easily a top 4 guy, though, which I like. And yeah, he won't get the offensive stats because that's going to be Dauber, but he's going to be the defensive backbone while Noah Dobson is taking shots. And he might get the assists because if they go around the horn and Dobson gets the puck, he might be on that primary assist. I'm not against it.
All right, next trade, Alexander Giorgiev to Colorado for a 2022 third, fifth, and a 2023 third. So,
nice.
There's quantity there, but those picks aren't exactly quality. Here's the funny part to me. Joe Sakic was quoted, and here's a tweet from Peter Bow, one of the Avalanche writers. Joe Sakic was very clear that they acquired Alexander Giorgiev to start. The Avs view Pavel Francouz as a great number 2 who can start a lot of games. Giorgiev is as excited as we are. He thinks they'll get something done soon as in restricted free agency. So,
yeah,
Giorgiev, you're 1A. Francouz, you're 1B, by season's end 1A, in my opinion, because I don't have too much faith in Giorgiev. The underlying stats are pretty good. He's got the goals saved above average and all that stuff, but the results aren't there. This one, I'm cautiously apprehensive. I don't know. Not interested. Sorry.
I like it because I already have Giorgiev.
Yeah, Dynasty, his value went up.
And I got him at his old price. I got him as
The backup price.
Shesterkin's backup, which means you're not going to play very much price. So I'm happy now because if you already have him, that's great. Hang on to him and see how it goes. And if he happens to be out there and you could get him for cheap, I think it's a good risk. If you can get him late or get him for not very expensive kind of pick or something. But if it works out, he's the number 1 goalie on the best team in the league is the upside, right? So
yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be thinking the same thing as me. Ew, Giorgiev? No way. So he's going to fall in redraft drafts. So he could be a 0G darling going into it, if he pans out. It's just that if. But, ifs are for the 12th round, the 13th round. So that's, maybe I'll take a swing, but I don't think he'd be my first goalie.
Francouz is the type of backup who could come in and play 50% of the season and take over the whole second half if Georgiev sucks, right? So
yeah,
Georgiev doesn't have that leeway. He's playing on the Stanley Cup champions. They need to keep winning, so he doesn't get a bunch of leeway. It's not like he's playing on a bad team where it doesn't matter if you win. It kind of matters. You get the job done, and they have a solid backup. So if he starts to slide, I would definitely bail pretty quick because he doesn't have a huge leash.
Dude, no one else thinks this is crazy. And do you remember all the talk during the finals just a couple of fucking weeks ago where they were talking about, Kemper shit the bed on that one game and Francouz had to come in and everybody was talking about, Kemper lost his job. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, obviously they won as they should have just rode with him. But at the same time, Francouz did what he needed to put his name in the ring for that. He had a 906 in the playoffs this year. He had a 281 goal against average in the playoffs this year. He played fantastic in the playoffs when he needed to.
Do Kemper's, because I'm pretty sure Francouz had better stats than Kemper in the playoffs. And there was a controversy. They were talking like, okay, who starts the next game?
Yeah.
And a lot of people were just like, it's Kemper. It's got to be Kemper. It's always been Kemper. You can't not have faith in a guy this late into the postseason. And it wound up being Kemper, and he won it.
And I feel that because I would have kept with Kemper as well. I had no problem with them pulling him that game because he said, like, going into the third, he said, hey, no, I'm not coming out. We're going to come back. You have faith in your teammates. We need to score fucking 5 goals this period. Colorado, honest to God, thinks that they can go out and do that in the third period. So Kemper said, no, I'm staying in. And then he got like 2 goals scored on him in the first 3 minutes or something like that, and they pulled him. But okay, so Kemper had a 902, which was less, but a better goals against average at 257.
All right.
Francouz put his name in the conversation for a reason, and I'm a little surprised, I'm not going to lie, that they're so nonchalant about it, and they're just like, yeah, Giorgiev is our, he's our starter. Tally ho. Like, I don't get it. I don't want him as my starter, but that's just me.
He's young though, right? He's like 26, so if he works out, that's great, and if not, they're pretty comfortable. But I mean, they proved that either goalie, Kemper,
Francouz is definitely, he's like over 30, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's like
31 or something like that.
Yeah. I was just looking those up because I have both of those guys in Dynasty, and I really wish I would have let Francouz go when everybody was trying to get him off me last season.
All right. The biggest trade that has happened thus far, Alex Brinkette to Ottawa for 7 overall, 39th overall, and a 2024 third. There are huge fantasy implications with this one.
Oh, boy.
A bunch. And a lot of us are talking about, what happens to the power play in Ottawa, who gets bumped off, Batherson, Stützle, who could it be?
Stützle.
I think it's Stütz too, man. Like, I hope, just because I hope.
and I love Tim Stützle.
We'll get into that. But DJ Smith had already come out and said, Bruce Garrioch, I think that's how you say his name, one of the beat writers in Ottawa, had a quote from DJ Smith that said, the plan is to play Brinkette next to Stützle. So Stütz is going to get him at even strength. That keeps line 1 intact. We're looking at Tkachuk, Norris, and Batherson as your top line. Line 2, Brinkette, Stütz.
Why would you change
it? It worked. It was so good. Everybody's breaking out at the same time. It's fantastic.
And when they were out on the ice, they were the best line on the ice. So there's no reason to change that.
There's nobody on the right side right now for line 2. Formenton was playing the left side. Brinkette can... he can play on the right side. He can play on the left side. He never played the right side because he was usually with Patrick Kane, who is like right side only. Ottawa still has a shit ton of money. They can go out and get a Giroux if they want to. They got $20 million left in cap. There's a lot that can still happen. But right now, we know, and I think if Giroux comes in, Batherson and Stützle are probably both off the power play, which sucks. Batherson, 14 of his 44 points on the year, 32%.
I would have Batherson on the number.
I think so too. Like I think he'd be a good net front, but even though Brady plays there,
even over Giroux.
No, I think Giroux is top power play. He's so good at that. He's like having another defenseman. He's just such a good distributor. That's a conversation for another day. 32% of Batherson's points were power play points. Both Brinkette and Batherson play the half wall. They're both right-handed shots, so logically, it makes sense that Batherson is the guy that gets pushed down. Now, Stützle, 26 of his 58 points were on the power play. That's 45%. If he's the one that gets bumped down, it's obviously an upgrade at even strength, but almost half of his points came on the power play. There's going to be a big, fall from grace there. And there's a bit of a redundancy at center. You already have Norris, who's a lefty. Stützle's a lefty. So, maybe Batherson's the guy that goes down. Who knows? Things are going to be fluid. Brady Tkachuk isn't going to be the guy going down. They're not going 5 forwards over Thomas Chabot. The Brinkette's on the top power play. Somebody's getting pushed down.
I think you're right, although I think it would be a great coaching move to go 5 forwards and give Chabot a fucking break. he does not need more minutes. Like
he's playing 36 minutes a night.
Yeah, but that's kind of a dick move to be like, yeah, you can have 28 minutes and none of them are on the power play.
So this is news about nothing, but Evgeny Malkin has unfollowed the Pittsburgh Penguins on Instagram.
Oh, Jesus.
So Reed, put your tinfoil hats on.
We'll see what happens. The last thing I was going to say about Ottawa is they're getting dangerously close to having enough good forwards for 2 power plays, and I hate that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, Pinto's coming up. Pinto's going to be really good. You have Formanton on the cusp. Matthew Joseph just joined the team, so there's plenty of people that can be on a power play too. Just they're not going to see the time. So I fear for my Batherson shares. I fear for my Stützle shares in Dynasty. So.
Well, they're not going to see the time because you're, like you said, you're not taking a Tkachuk off of there.
Yeah.
Norris is fantastic.
He's a lock
in the circle. Fantastic. He is so good. So you're not taking him out of there because you want him to win those pucks. So, Tim Stützle is the answer, unfortunately. And like I said, I love Stütz, but like he's gonna have to power down that second line.
I think so. But if that's not the way it happens, if he does keep power play 1, I think Stützle is the biggest beneficiary here. Even strength, exposure to Brinkette, power play just exposure. All right, let's talk about Chicago now. Kane Tays, they got to see the writing on the wall. Even Seth Jones, like his $9.5 million contract kicks in this year. Oh, damn. That's so fucking funny.
New captain of the Arizona Coyotes, Jonathan Toews.
Johnny Toews has got to be writing his letters. Patrick Kane's got to want out. Man, like they don't want to do this shit.
Well, and that's what I was kind of alluding to early. I think this is the plan, is they're forcing him out. Even if it comes to halfway through the season, who's not going to be after both of those guys for playoff runs? I mean, I guess the contracts are a bit horrendous, but those are some high quality players for a team that could eat some salary or something like that somehow. But
who takes DeBrincat's spot? Kubalik is a arbitration eligible RFA that doesn't have a contract yet. Is it Lucas Reichel? Okay, so another tweet came out. Evgeny Malkin has never followed the Pittsburgh Penguins, so this is just bullshit.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
you know what? I was gonna say that I feel like he doesn't even give a shit about that kind of stuff. Can you see him caring whether he follows a certain person or not?
He's no Yager.
He did comment. They put up a post about signing Letang until Letang is 41. He was like, hopefully, I don't have to play against you. So I don't know. There's shade being thrown, but I want to know who's taking DeBrincat's spot. Is it Lucas Reichel? Is it Dominic Kubalik, an arbitration eligible RFA? Doesn't have a contract yet. Their depth looks bad.
I mean, Kubalik is definitely the best left winger on that team. Like hands down, not even close. So like, if you're going just the best left winger, the answer is Kubalik. Can't Tyler Johnson play left wing as well? Isn't he dual?
He's played everywhere before, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Isn't he dual eligible? Can he play over on that side? So it could be someone like a Tyler Johnson. But I mean, if Patrick Kane isn't on that team either, then I feel like the Chicago Blackhawks owe that to, a Patrick Kane. He's worth something now. The only thing is trying to find somebody that is going to pay $10.5 million a year for him.
Yeah, it's one more year.
Ottawa.
It's one more year.
Ottawa.
Let him.
Ottawa.
If I'm the GM of any team, I'm calling Chicago right now. Like there's fucking blood in the water.
Line 2 of Stützle, DeBrincat, and Kane. That's Ottawa's new line 2.
Just DeBrincat and Kane take their circus somewhere else.
Absolutely. Ottawa can afford them.
They both have one more year at
10.5.
Like, Chicago can definitely retain. So I think they can get something for him, like a 5.25 mil Patrick Kane. Come on. That would be great.
Oh, come on, Ottawa. Let's do it. They will be my new favorite team if they get Patrick Kane this year.
That's a tough one. I don't know. All right, so Alex DeBrincat, pretty much a lock for. We talked a lot about like what's going to happen to Batherson, what's going to happen to Stützle. We didn't really talk about what the year looks like for DeBrincat. So I'm curious what your guys' takes is on Alex DeBrincat, who, 37 goal average over the last 3 years. Obviously, he had that really, really down year with the shooting percentage anomaly under 10%. But he's been like 30 goal, 40 goal guy every other year, closing in on point per game, went over point per game the season prior to this one, the shortened season, with an 88 point pace, shoots a fuck ton. What does a year look like for DeBrincat in Ottawa?
I think he's going to do just fine if he is on a line with Tim Stützle. Tim Stützle doesn't shoot. We know that he doesn't shoot. He only does that twice a game. And I love Tim Stützle. I've said it multiple times. But you know who does shoot? Alex DeBrincat. So if he's on a line with Tim Stützle, he's going to go out there and just fucking throw pucks on net. You know what I mean? If the only other person around is maybe like a Connor Brown, who also does do a lot of shooting.
That makes more sense to have Stützle with DeBrincat because Tkachuk shoots a ton. Norris is a goal scorer himself. Like they need a passer on that top line with those guys, like a Batherson.
Agreed.
And I think DeBrincat, it's hard to say anything's not a step down from Patrick Kane. Like you're not going to ever have a better line mate than Patrick Kane, but Ottawa's also going to give him every single opportunity possible to play every good minute and have every best shot available on the ice. So it's kind of a wash, like you're losing Patrick Kane, but they're going to be like, how about Batherson? Does he work with you? How about Stützle? Does he work with you? How about Norris? Does he work with you? Because that's why they got him, is to go shoot and be that 40 goal guy.
Yep. I think there's plenty to say about this whole, you're losing Patrick Kane thing. We said the same thing about Panarin.
Yeah.
And DeBrincat is a play driver. He's not a passenger on that line. So I think, he's going to carry his skill and his trajectory to Ottawa pretty seamlessly. I don't think there's going to be, a fall. Geez, what is he scoring? He's scoring a half goal per game. Let me get the stats up here. But I think, what I like to do in scenarios like this is you see the goals for per game of Ottawa and Chicago. Probably not great. Goals for per game. Ottawa actually had more than Chicago. So Ottawa is going to add a half goal per game just by getting Alex DeBrincat. That brings them up to 3.25-ish, which is in the ranges of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Washington Capitals. So if we're just taking all the raw stats here and taking Alex DeBrincat's goals per game, putting it on Ottawa's goals per game, that propels them into the top half of the offensive. If everything works, if chemistry blends perfectly, we're looking at a top half offensive team in Ottawa here. More goals than the Nashville Predators. They had 2 40-goal scorers this year. The Vegas Golden Knights, who, have had their ups and downs, whatever, but it's going to put you just under Pittsburgh and Washington. That's good company. It's really good company. The power play is only going to get better. And, if we're talking about Chicago versus Ottawa here, he's getting an upgrade. Maybe downgrade in line mates. Yeah, Patrick Kane's awesome, but the team around him is going to be better. And I think it's really good for Anton Forsberg, too, who's going to have a lot more offensive support. So I like that goalie there, big time.
Man, I hope that all our listeners are ready to have an entire season of TJ doing a screaming eagle between the Detroit Red Wings and the Ottawa Senators.
I remember the last time I was so stoked on Ottawa. It might have been when we were at Locked On, and I was just like, Nemestikov every day. We got to pick up Nemestikov. He's hitting, he's shooting, he's scoring. Nemestikov, please listen to me.
He was awesome back then.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, he was good.
Well, I think there's about 5 guys on Ottawa now who are a hell of a lot more exciting than Nemestikov ever was.
Oh, there's 6 guys on Ottawa that are more important than Nemestikov.
Yeah. And I think if Matthew Joseph is that guy on the right wing, Daily Faceoff right now clearly wasn't listening to the quotes from DJ Smith. They have Tkachuk, Norris, and DeBrincat as the top line. That's not the way things are going to shake out according to the coach already.
No. He's
going to left wing. He just said next to Stützle, so it could mean anything. He could be the right wing there, and maybe they go out and get a left wing, Claude Giroux, and make things happen inside their top 6. So, it's been rumored there, for years. So we'll see what Ottawa does the rest of the way, but I'm super stoked on Alex DeBrincat. I think this is a marginal increase in his value overall. specifically in Dynasty, because I think there is going to be a little bit of growing pains not playing next to Patrick Kane scoring 90 points. But you got Stützle is on the up. Norris is already broken out. Kachuk's broken on his way. If he shoots 300 times at 10%, that's 30 goals. I love this move. So exciting for Colorado. Not Colorado. Ottawa.
Colorado.
Here we go. Those are all the trades we got so far. Is there anything else we want to add before we pin this one?
I'm going to add that I have a feeling that as opposed to Claude Giroux, I think Andre Palat is going to end up in Ottawa.
Ooh, I like this one. Yeah, so our next episode is going to be free agent predictions, and then we're going to do another episode. We're going to do that one on Monday, and then we'll do an episode on Thursday after free agency, and that'll drop on Friday. So a lot of free agent stuff. Plenty of time for trades to still happen. Ottawa could still get JT Miller, which would be bitchin'. Ottawa can do stuff. Imagine if Detroit gets... But yeah, that's what we're going to do on Monday, is just talk about like all these landing spots that could happen and stuff, and just have some good old-fashioned fun with no implications whatsoever, because it's all pontificating. But anyway, guys, thanks for listening to this one. We'd love to hear what you guys think about this one. I'll do my monthly shill for reviews if you guys want to on... I always forget. Other podcasters are so good about this. Well, leave a rating and a review.
Like and subscribe.
Only give us 5 stars.
Yeah. I do it
Like and subscribe
4 times a year, probably my quarterly shill for reviews. But if you guys are digging the show, leave us a review. And if you're not digging the show, I don't know why you're listening. So you didn't make it to the end of the episode. So you don't know to leave a bad review.
Yeah, they're 55 minutes in, man. I think we've...
And we also didn't swear a lot this episode, so we covered that base.
True. Yeah, I think might have made the dorks happy. So this will be fun. Anyway, we're on Twitter at FHF Hockey. We are in the Fantasy Hockey Discord all the time. We're dropping Monday mock links. I think it's Thursdays at 4 p.m., 3 p.m. for our patrons. So patrons do get first priority into the mocks. We'll catch you guys next time. Love yous.
Love you.
Love yous.
Adios, turd nuggets.